Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 18th of March, 2021. This is The Gap, episode 557. I'm Lawrie. Joab, Gilroy is here as always. Always?
Always.
Always. Like the song, like the Bon Jovi song. It's your favorite,
Fuck
isn't it?
yeah. I mean, how do you pick your favorite sunrise? Like, they're all fantastic. That one, I think my favorite is Wanted Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
It is just such a winner. But always, I think it might be number 2. What would be better? Don't say Living on a Prayer. It's played out.
That's the go-to, isn't it? That's the one everyone knows. But you're going deeper. You're going for the ones that people don't recognize, the ones they don't know.
Well, I don't know that always Wanted Dead or Alive are necessarily all that much deeper, but like they're definitely deeper than Living on a Prayer. But like, you know, I think everyone knows Always, and everyone knows Wanted. If you are listening to this and you don't recognize either of those songs, go and look them up. You're about to have the best fucking time. It's about, I don't know, Always is like 5 minutes fucking long. Wanted Dead or Alive is about 4 minutes long. Like, that's nearly 10 minutes of just absolute smash hits. That's fantastic. What a fucking day for you.
Where do you stick like Better Roses in there as well?
That is actually, yeah, see, that's a fucking amazing song. That is an amazing karaoke song, like underrated karaoke classic, right? Because it just swells at the end there, right? Like, and then everyone singing along because it's so fucking obvious what the words are that like you just get the entire karaoke room singing along, which is fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Bad Medicine.
Remember karaoke?
I don't remember when you used to be able to go to karaoke. Good times.
Remember Outside?
I don't know. I've been places. I was at a bar on Tuesday.
Right.
I played Brooklyn Nine-Nine trivia.
Okay.
We didn't win. We came in third, which won us a jug of beer. Which
nice.
was all we really wanted. So
how many people were on the
real
team?
Winners. There were 6 of us.
So you got half a glass each.
Well, no. By then, I think it was only me and Nate and Gerald still drinking. So, yeah,
easy.
Yeah, you know, a full glass each. Easy. And it was really only my wife and I actually contributing to the trivia, because we had literally just finished a rewatch of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We didn't go to this trivia on purpose. We were there, and like they had this big sign that said Monday trivia night, but it was Tuesday, and they were doing trivia. And I'm like, whatever.
They just do trivia every night.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine trivia. I'm like, all right. That seems convenient. The only thing that could have been better is just after our Brooklyn Nine-Nine rewatch, we rewatched What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay.
Which is a better show, in my opinion. Only because it might be the best comedy to come out in forever. But it may have broken up some of my knowledge a little bit. I may have been thinking about, Nandor and Nadja and Laszlo as opposed to Jake and Charles and Amy. Anyway, good stuff. We're starting this podcast a teeny bit late because I was on the toilet playing Slay the Spire on my mobile phone, and that game is ruining my life, but I've beaten it. I've now beaten it on PC, and I've beaten it on the phone. So yeah, I was beating it. I was beating it on the toilet. That's got 2 meanings. Beating it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. For those at home listening, I was doing a hand signal.
Yes.
Anyway, so yeah, been playing more Slay the Spire. I finished it as each character, because you got to finish it as each character to unlock the final boss. And then I've just been slamming my head against the wall trying to beat it properly as the Defect. The Defect is obviously the best character. If you've never played Slay the Spire, it is a roguelike deck builder. One of the best, probably the best of the of the class, and you start off with a basic hand, and you slowly work your way through until you've got generally a larger hand. Sometimes a smaller hand if you're particularly crafty. And yeah, each character, like there's 4 characters. There were 3 when I first started playing, but there's 4 characters, and each character has different cards that they get access to, and they use them in different ways. The defect is a character that has these orbs that float above his head, and he winds up doing sort of passive damage using those, although they're not all damage orbs. And yeah, playing as him becomes a case of making sure you can live long enough to do enough passive damage to actually win. By the end, I think I had 21 cards. I wasn't planning on having 21 cards, but like right at the end, like right before you go into the final boss fight, I had 20 cards all the way through the Act 3 boss fight, and then you go to the shop. Like there's always a shop before the final boss, and always an elite fight. But they had a upgraded focus card, which is a power card,
Right.
and focus is what the stat that the passive damage the defect does is based on. And because I had Echo Form, which doubles the first card you play every turn, I wanted as much focus as I could get. Because what I was able to do in the final boss fight was I played Echo Form, and then when focus came up, I played it. I got double the focus. I already had a focus in my hand, and so I wound up. It wound up being that I was doing something like 2, 7, 11 damage per lightning orb, plus the frozen orbs were giving me passive shield as well. And so I was just basically invincible. The other thing that happened was at the shop before the final boss sold that relic. Relics are like powerful items that you get that aren't cards that modify your playstyle. I got a relic that made me intangible every 6 turns, and huge, absolutely massive, because I absolutely would have lost against the final boss if I had managed to be intangible because he just winds up doing it. Just like you've got a max limit of damage that you can do per turn, and I hit it. I bounced up against it. It's like 300. And anytime you play a card, you take a damage. And yeah, I rammed into the 300 limit, and I could actually finish it off, but you can't do, like, it just won't do any more damage after that. And he, like, the next turn, the final boss was doing, I think it was like fucking, it would have been up to 80 because he keeps getting strength over the course of the fight. You would have been doing 80 damage, and that's more than you start with. Like, you don't start with that max HP. So he was absolutely going to fucking belt me. He'd been doing it over and over again, but that was the turn that the intangible kicked in, and so he did 1 damage instead. And that was all I needed, because I was able to do 300 damage a turn. He's only got 999 health, but by the time I was doing 300 a turn, I'd already done like 450 or so. So I just needed to finish him off, and I won, and it was pretty good. And that was just then, just on the toilet, just then. Because yeah, it's on your phone, and it's fantastic. What a game!
Nice.
Huge fan. Yeah, I'm still like, it still does annoy. I don't know if I talked about this much last week, but it does a bunch of stuff that annoys the fuck out of me. Playing the wrong card sometimes, stuff like that. I've definitely run into that a couple of times. I lost a run that I thought was going to be an absolute winner, because I played the wrong card, and like it might sound like if it might sound bad, right? Like I think it does sound bad, but if you've played Slay the Spire, you know, especially with characters like the defect, everything you do has to be in a precise order. It's not like you can just sort of fucking throw whatever out there. There is a specific order that you need to do a lot of stuff in, or else it will not carry off and you will die. And um, yeah, playing the wrong card at the wrong time is a banger for that shit. Anyway,
Right.
so anyway, so that's why. Good
Cool.
stuff. Still loving it.
Good stuff. All right, let's just keep on rolling here. Let's go with Skyrim. We'll just go down this list, I guess.
Right.
Skyrim, obviously, some big Bethesda news over the week, which we'll get into a bit later on. But I guess the gist of it is Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls, is now available on Game Pass.
Right. So Game Pass and like Game Pass for PC.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's across both Xbox and PC.
Yep.
And yeah, this is the version that, well, at least last week it was still going for fucking $60 on the store, which is insanity.
I think it's always going for $60. Like
Yeah.
I think even on Steam it's that much. I can check now, but it's generally full price. Like it's one of those games that people will just pay money for and people will buy it. It's 40 US, so
It's still $60.
60, yeah, Australian.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's a, I don't know, that's a pretty big one. Like I was excited to play it. I haven't been able to play mods for ages because I don't have the special edition version of Skyrim, and I refuse to pay $60 for a 10-year-old game.
Do you need the special you don't need the special edition to play Skyrim, to play mods?
For most of the mods, you actually do, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. Like the stuff, actually, this is pretty key to the entire thing. The Skyrim script extender,
Yeah.
SKSE, has been largely updated, or is mostly updated to
For the new
work
one.
with the SE build, while they maintain some old updates for the classic. So yeah,
Right.
a lot of newer mods don't work except in Sky like special edition.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, that's important to note because the Skyrim SKSE does not work with the Windows Store version of Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the SKSE team, it probably never will.
Yeah.
And this was actually like this was it for me. I've been toying with this this idea for a little while now, but I've written a opinion piece that'll go up on the gapodcast.com that is basically breaking down how I think the Windows Store and the Game Pass for PC dramatically needs to improve as fast as humanly possible, because in its current form, it's just not there. It's not good enough. I didn't include this in the opinion piece because it's already written and I've already recorded the video for the video. But yeah, I didn't include this, but I know that it's got to sound entitled, right? Everyone, I talk about this a bit, you know, the concept of the entitled gamer. How I reject the idea, because we are entitled to things that we pay money for. That is literally how, you know, the exchange of goods works, goods and services for money works. But yeah, like I'm just like, I understand that it's going to sound entitled, right? Oh, Game Pass isn't good enough on PC, blah 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 blah, and people are going to be like, well, these are free games, aren't they? First of all, they're not free. Okay, you pay for the Game Pass. Okay, we've got to divorce ourselves from this notion that games on Game Pass are free. They aren't free. They are part of the subscription model. Nobody thinks that like, oh yeah, you got so many movies on Netflix for free, right? When they dump out another fucking trash Adam Sandler joint. You can't complain about things that aren't up to par. And there's a lot about the Game Pass that's not up to par. And a lot of it is very recent. In the opinion piece, I talk about 3 games. Wreckfest, which can't be played cross store platform. And so we couldn't play against Heath, who's got it on Steam, and also can't be modded at all, despite having a robust modding community. I talk about Cricket 19, which doesn't work. You cannot play it online at all. And Skyrim, which has mods enabled, which is a function that they deliberately added, but they have added it in such a way, and it is tied so inextricably to the Windows Store that it can't be done properly, and it can't be done in the manner that people are used to, and it makes all of those games are dramatically below par compared to what you get elsewhere. Like, if we were to take the Netflix example again, it would be like if they were like, well, shit, you don't even need to. You look at Disney Plus when they did The Simpsons and they did the fucking 240p rips version that you used to see passed around at LAN parties. People are like, oh yeah, I've got all the Simpsons. And you'd go into it and it'd pop up in Real Media Player in a fucking square smaller than a fucking postage stamp. And you'd be like, oh yeah, look, that's Bart. Classic. Oh, he's got all the Simpsons. Now I've got all the Simpsons. I'm so glad I came to this LAN party. And everyone playing Counter-Strike is like, what the fuck is taking up all the bandwidth? Why are we getting fucking lag? We're on a LAN. Anyway, yeah, you don't need to. Like, Disney Plus did exactly that. You still have to jump through hoops if you want to watch it in a reasonable format. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's pretty much just what happens on the Xbox Game Pass for PC. Like, even games that are now, thanks to the sale of Bethesda, published by Microsoft, aren't as good as they are elsewhere. And that is fucking ridiculous. The Windows Store needs to be fixed, like, as soon as possible. There's like, that's barely scraping the surface of the problem that the Windows Store have. Although those are like subpar versions of games you can get elsewhere is a huge part of what I think the problem is. Like, there's so many more problems. The idea that you never know, like, you use the Xbox app or the Xbox Game Pass app or the fucking Windows Store app or fucking whatever to download it. Trying to fucking tell it where to download is a pain in the dick. If you want to look at the fucking files themselves, you have to spend 10 minutes changing fucking permission settings on the folders. Like, all this shit is out of control. It's yeah. The DRM is some of the fucking worst there is. Like, I've never seen anything quite like it. And yeah, they fucking need to fix it ASAP. Anyway, so Skyrim, I can't play it with mods anyway, so that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, you should check out, it was Nexus Mods where I downloaded all mine, I think, last year.
Right.
And I don't have the special edition of Skyrim. I've just got the normal one, and it seems to be okay on that. It's possible that there may be stuff that their like modders are focusing more on the special edition one at the moment, but you can definitely grab stuff that was working last year on there at least. So at least that's there. Like, the whole Windows Store thing is just a mess as it is. Like, it's the stuff they do with security on that app is ridiculous. Like, not being able to access folders to look inside and stuff to see, like, is there stuff in here that I can delete? But you can't even go in and look at it. And like, I've got a background in IT, server admin and security and things like that. And for me, like, even that is a pain in the ass to try and get into some of those folders sometimes. It's just such a fucking effort. Where I just want to go in there and like see, is is this working okay? I was trying to install some. Uh, I was trying to install the Outer Worlds over the last week, and I couldn't install it on one of my drives. It just wouldn't let me anymore. And when I try and go into that folder to be like, maybe something's going on here. I can't even access that folder anymore. It just like kicks me out. Um, so yeah, they need like to do something with that store. I just don't think they will.
Yeah,
I mean, hopefully, like they've been toying around with this Xbox app on the PC, but I don't know if that's going to be like disconnected at some stage from the Microsoft Store, or like become its own separate thing. Because I think that is a way that we could see things improved. But yeah, that the Microsoft Store is just trash. It's such a bad
yeah,
storefront. I guess the thing that we can sort of hope for is that a lot of these games, even if they're not on like the Game Pass sort of infrastructure, that like at least they'll be coming to PC and you'll have the choice to grab them on platforms like Steam. Like most of the Xbox games are on Steam. You know, you uh, Gears of War, Forza, I think went up recently. Um,
yeah,
I don't see these Bethesda games not being available on platforms like Steam going forward, but also the thing is that you're paying for this subscription service, right? And so the only way to access that stuff is through that particular platform storefront. And that's where the issue becomes a bit of a problem for especially these heavily moddable games that people use with some of these titles. And not being able to access those files is a huge problem. And I think it's something that has not been addressed as of yet. So it's an
yeah,
interesting thing to look into.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I, it surprises me how little it's discussed, but I've had enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
I go like, yeah, I don't know. I go pretty ham on it. I still think, like I say this in my opinion piece, I still think the Game Pass Ultimate is an incredible fucking deal. If you've got both an Xbox and PC, or a Game Pass for PC is an incredible deal if you've only got PC. I still think just based on the games you get outside of the trash, right? So far, it is still a fantastic deal. But over time, if if they don't do something about the Windows Store,
Hmm.
and if it continues to fucking neuter games like Skyrim, then I think that value proposition will change.
Yeah. Do you need me
And
to call Uncle Pete, like, and sort it out? Is that what's going on?
hit him up. Hit him up. Petey, 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 petey.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Skyrim.
Right. Speaking about Skyrim, I installed the Outer Worlds over the last week. I've been playing that on Game Pass, Xbox Game
Yep.
Pass. Outer Worlds came out during a pretty busy period of the year, a few years back, and I spent a bunch of time in it. Really enjoyed my time with it, and thought that I would. I've got some free time at the moment to check out stuff. There's a whole lot going on. So I jumped back in, created a new character. This is after all the drama of trying to get it installed on a specific hard drive that I wanted to, which I never ended up doing. But there you go. Fired it up. Started a new character, ran around and spent like a stupid amount of hours playing this. Playing this game. It's a lot of fun. Obsidian really have done a good job with taking like some of their strengths in terms of writing and storytelling. Um, and
Yep.
I think that it's just in terms of like it's fine as a shooter for like an RPG shooter if you compare it to the games like they've done in the past. And you look at Fallout 4 and sort of I don't like the shooting in those games that they've done previously. I
Yep.
just don't feel good. But this one at least feels Like it's fine. It's serviceable. It does what it's there to do. So I've enjoyed just messing around with all that sort of stuff. Some of the weapons you get are really cool and fun. Like I'm currently using a pistol that shoots like burst fire. That sets people on like acid damage. Um, it's got like 20 rounds in it, so it's basically doing I think 1,000 DPS at this point, which is wildly above anything that I've currently got. Like I've got rocket launchers that do like 400 DPS, and this pistol is just mincing everybody. So that stuff is really fun. The characters that you come up across are really interesting and neat to talk to. Like
Yeah.
it's like black comedy humor that um, you kind of get choices thrown at you that are very weird and strange to deal with. Then you don't necessarily have to be like good or bad. There are some very middle ground solutions to these things.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are very clear cut, like if you help this faction and then help this one who are fighting with each other, it's possible to sort of appease both of them and sort of deal with it that way. And that is not necessarily something that you may discover if you're sort of not exploring this world as much as what you can, because you
Yep.
may just solve a problem for one of them and the other one's really
Yeah.
pissed off about what's going on. So it's very deep in terms of like the solutions that the game throws at you and the quest lines. Like you've got to really do a bit of digging around to sort of find these little intricate paths that interweave with each other, and eventually you can solve them in a way that is interesting and sort of fulfills different aspects of a quest line. So that stuff is really cool, and just the uh like the world itself is interesting to run around with and see all these strange characters that you come up against. Like it's nothing. It's not like breaking boundaries in terms of what it's doing. It's just like a solid, fun game that I think,
Yeah.
like, if people want to see what the team who made one of the best sort of Fallout games have done recently, and things, uh, and sort of how they've taken their lessons that they've learned from that game and moved forward. I think it's a great example of the type of projects we may see from them going forward. Like if they came out with well, okay, what's the rumor that they're maybe working on a new Fallout like at some stage, or like another new Vegas?
Really?
I think everybody's sort of wanting them to do that.
Okay. That'd be cool.
And now the fact that like Bethesda is part of Microsoft, and obviously
Yeah.
like Oblivion is also part of
Obsidian.
Xbox as well. It's a perfect sort of marrying between those two. But at the same time, they kind of went and made their own. Like the Outer Worlds is basically a Fallout style clone game, with maybe some less RPG elements in there, but it does what it does really well. So I've enjoyed my time with it. I think if people have Game Pass and they haven't checked it out, it's definitely worth playing, because it's a ton of fun. And just sort of exploring that world is really neat. Like it doesn't
The new
really.
DLC looks really good too.
Yeah. There's a bunch of
The murder mystery,
DLC
right?
that the game has. I guess the only downside to it is if you do play it on Game Pass, you don't get that DLC. You've got to
Yeah.
pick it up, but you get 25, 30 hours of a game for free and decide whether or not you want to. Not for free, you're paying money each month, but whether or not you want to spend some cash on the DLC. That's kind of what piqued my interest, that seeing all this talk about the DLC that's coming out, this noir focused content. And so I thought, I'll check it out. And then it was like 8 hours later and I'm still playing. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. So yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff. Enjoying it quite a bit.
If you want to watch a good video too, IGN's got one of their speedrun devs react to speedrun videos. For
Fallout 4.
New Vegas.
Oh, was it New Vegas? Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I mean, those are always good fun, because you'll see the devs being like, yeah, we know about this thing. Like, yeah, we've seen this before. And then something will happen. I'll be like, wait, what? What is...
Hang on. Why is he...
Why is he doing this? And how is that happening?
Yeah.
Because most of the time, devs are like, "Yeah, we know that problem's there. We knew about that, but we didn't fix it
Yeah.
because we didn't want to." Or like sometimes they leave those sort of things in there for that community. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
those are quite fun to watch. Um, that's the Outer Worlds. The other game that I jumped into last night was Diablo 3. I started playing some Necromancer, which I haven't played before,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's. Did you play the Diablo 2 Necromancer at all?
No,
No.
no, it wasn't.
He was all about like hordes and hordes of enemies and like
Yeah.
raising skeletons and all this sort of crap. You like running around with a little posse of just dudes that you would fight. You'd fight your little gang with. Um,
Yeah.
Necromancer basically uh, is able, like some of his main abilities that he's got, is able to raise skeletons from the dead and fight alongside you. Um, I think the default to start off with is like 7, so you've basically got 7 skeletons running around. Doesn't cost anything. It's a passive ability that just sort of goes, um, just runs around with you. I don't know if they take damage. At least I don't know because I haven't seen any of them die at this point. So
Right.
it could be because I am so fucking paragoned up that they've just got so much health that they're not taking any damage. I do have it set to a higher difficulty. I think I'm like 3, like the level just below torment. It's like 3 up from normal, 3 or 4 up from normal, because it's a brand new character, and uh, so he's able to raise skeletons from the dead. Every time that you kill something in the world, they leave behind like a corpse. And this is where a lot of his sort of abilities play into effect, where uh, like one of the ones that I've got, you can explode corpses and they'll do like an AoE effect, and cause a crap load of damage. But also, any time that you explode one of these, they can cause like a chain reaction. So if you've got a fight happening. Like I can, so I've had fights where I've just blown up like 40 people, 40 monsters, and just like a button press because they've just chain reaction all blown up one after the other. Um, so that's kind of cool. He does his resource is like an essence where every time you do damage with a certain ability, he gains essence, and that's what you use to cast some of these other abilities. So he's got, I think the first one you get is like a bone trap, sort of springs out onto the ground. It's like these bone spikes that cause damage, gives you essence, and then you're able to use I'm using a bone spear at the moment, which goes through people, and I've got like a rune attached to it where every single person it goes through does like an extra 20% damage on top of it. Um, so I'm playing around with that. I've got a buff on my character that I press, and whenever it's like a giant AOE, for every person that's in that radius, I get a certain amount of armor on top of me, and it stacks up to 10 times. So you get even though I'm not taking any damage at the moment, it goes onto his character, like it forms, which kind of looks cool. So I pump that up every once in a while. And then the other one is that I'm rocking another AOE that slows people down, enemies down in a radius, and I think it causes them to take a certain amount of extra damage as well. Um, so like I'm still sort of gaining a bunch of his abilities at this stage. I'm only like I'm towards the end of Act 1, but I'm like level 27 or something at this stage. Like I'm just smashing
Right.
through levels
Yeah.
because of how high the difficulty is basically at this point. I could probably bump it up again if I wanted to. Like I'm not having a hard time against
Yeah.
enemies in terms of them doing damage to me. It's sort of the other way around where the gear that I've got, some of the fights that I'm getting into is really taking some time because they're just so tanky and like I'm not
Yeah.
doing enough damage to
Yeah.
them, but they're also not doing enough damage to me. Um, so I don't really know how to counteract that. And I'm just not interested in standing there for a minute, fucking
Yeah.
pressing. Like, oh, I just want to see shit explode at this point, but
Cool.
also get good gear. So, um, Yeah, I've been enjoying that. Like it's fine. I don't think it's worth the money they're asking for. I think it's like $23 or something at this stage just for that one character. Um, that is way too high. That is insane. It shouldn't
That's
be
huge.
that. I'm just trying to check now. I'm just it's 22 Australian. Um, no, like it should be way less than that. 10
Yeah,
bucks maybe
yeah, yeah.
at the most. But like if you're the type of person that likes that game, then check it out. I don't think it's as good as some of the other characters I played. Like I really like my Demon Hunter um, class. Like I think she's awesome. Um, I've got a bunch in there
The
that
wizard.
I've maxed out. I just don't think that he's kind of not really what I thought he was going to be when I picked this up because
Yeah.
I remember playing it in Diablo 2 and having a lot of fun with it. Um, maybe it's just going to take some more time because he just kind of feels really slow at the moment. Like his mouse one is very
Reaper of Souls is only $25.
yeah.
And yet the Necro is 22. That's fucking insane. And you
Hmm.
need Reaper of Souls to play Necro. So
Do you? Yeah.
yeah, gold. Gold.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd
Anyway.
mention that quickly because I was gonna jump in on the weekend, but didn't get around to it. I was playing some WoW instead, and so last night I thought I'd fire it up and check it out because I never got a chance to see what he's all about. Still a
Torchlight
great
3
game.
hits the Game Pass for PC tomorrow.
Which one?
Torchlight 3.
Oh yeah, nah,
No?
eh. It's not. It's not. Yeah, not that great. I feel like.
I know
I
you
feel like.
don't. I know you didn't love it, but what about if we can play together? It's got co-op, right? Right.
I think so. I think it's got to co-op.
Will we be able to play together with me on the Windows Store and you on Steam?
Oh, you need to try and be able to install it first, I guess. Um,
First step.
yeah, I'm not sure. We could obviously check it out. Yeah, I just don't think there's a lot of depth there. Like they got to that first game was a really good um like foundation, but they just didn't
Yeah.
like 3 feels like there's nothing added in there that's like anything new. It's just very one note. Like I've seen this before. Um
Yeah.
like just off the top of my head, I can't recall anything that's like completely different that blew me away. It's more of the same. So that
Yeah.
was kind of disappointing. But yeah, if you want to check it out, we check it out. I
All right.
think I've still got it installed.
Right now. Yeah. Mixed reviews on Steam. It's got.
I don't have it installed. um,
Oh,
I think,
it'll take you fucking 4 seconds.
yeah, mixed reviews. You got to remember when that first launched, it was having a lot of problems in early access. But
Recent reviews are still mixed anyway.
yeah, I'm trying to
54%.
find the graph, but it's not popping up for some reason. Oh, here it is.
Say
Yeah,
graph.
the graph.
Fucking Captain America over here with his graphs.
What do you call it?
It's a graph.
I'd
It's a
call it.
graph.
I think I've always called it graph.
You've never called it graph. Never ever. Why would you call it graph?
Graph. Graph. Graph sounds like a fucking stick up my ass. Yeah. All right. We should check that out then.
Gotta
maybe.
crack out some of the graphs. Oh, Mr. Fancy Excel over here with his graphs. Wish I could roll my R's. Then I could say graph with a rolled R, but I can't do it. So
Graphs.
yeah, graph. Ah, well, neither of us can do it. That's why we're top-notch podcasters.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
Adios.
It's adios.
Adios. Adios. Adios. Yeah, this was pretty. I don't know. It was getting. It's second on new and trending in the Steam store.
Okay. Yeah.
It was getting a lot of heat. People were excited for it on Twitter. It is a narrative adventure about a pig farmer who decides he no longer wants to dispose of bodies for the mob.
Ah,
And it is basically a um, interactive, a visual novel, basically a visual novel, I
right.
would say, with slightly more gamey. Like instead of being like, usually visual novels have you like sitting there reading texts and clicking
Hmm.
to get to the next line. Instead, this is all voice acted, and you do move around with WASD sometimes, and
Bit more walking sim.
yeah, a bit closer to a walking sim. But yeah, uh, I hated it. I
I'm
mean, right from the
surprised.
get go, right from the get go. Yeah, I like. Let's let's get some things clear. Right from the get go, my bias is I am generally against any game that I don't know pretends to be interactive and yet doesn't really offer any meaningful choice. Uh, I'm predisposed to dislike games of that manner.
Hmm.
If you can't make meaningful decisions that impact the course of the game, and those meaningful decisions can go all the way down to your ability to shoot things. Uh, if you don't have if there's no agency for the player, agency being the literally what I just said, um, then I'm predisposed to not enjoying that as a video game because I believe interactivity is fundamental to the concept of video games. And yeah, once the interactivity begins to resemble different methods of pressing a play button,
Hmm.
I am generally predisposed to not enjoy it. And I bring up visual novels because I've seen visual novels actually do different things with this. Right, it is capable. The interactive fiction genre is capable of making it so that you are um, able to make meaningful choices. Choose your own adventure books, I suppose, are the most obvious uh, version of this concept,
Right.
right? Adios, whatever. Uh, Instead, plays like just you don't get to choose the adventure. You just do the things it
Yeah.
says you have to do. It's buggy as fuck. Uh, I have video of me spending 5 minutes unable to start the fucking game because for whatever reason it never registered. It like I guess does a very simplistic tutorial in that it tells you to press tab to open your journal, and then after you close the journal, you're supposed to then press W and you get up out of the seat that you're on
Hmm.
to go tell this hitman that you've quit, that you're quitting. And then the rest of the game is sort of a discussion between yourself and the hitman about whether you should quit or why you shouldn't quit or whatever. Um, yeah, I think I think the voice acting is quite good, although the hitman's voice acting sounds tinny, so the sound balancing is off there for some reason. But the main character's voice acting is really good.
Hmm.
It tells some interesting stories, but like some interesting narrative elements, although it's a little um wanky. uh yeah. Oh, I guess it's just a little America centric, uh which I'm not a fan of, but I guess that is the character. uh there's like I think my problem, there's one bit in it, right, where you're feeding your horse.
Right.
You're feeding your horse, and you've got a bucket of apples, red apples, and you're feeding your horse, and you're like, "Here you go. I got you Granny Smith. Which are your favorite?" Hey, Granny Smith apples are fucking green. That is literally the defining feature of the fucking Granny Smith apple. They are green. They are
Yeah, I
green
guess.
apples. It is very upsetting to me. I don't know why, right? But it made me question everything else. Like, does this old man just fucking not know shit? Does he not
Someone told him
understand?
that's what they are, and he was just that's what he's grown up with.
But does that call into question everything else that he said? Right? Does he not really know the in-depth, extremely patriotic fucking background of his fucking pigs as well? Or is that like, or did they just fucking goof? Like, is this it's a 70-minute long game, and like, why is that? Like, you gotta. I'm guessing that all of this has been very carefully crafted, right? Carefully put together, to create, like, every detail is exact. Is my assumption.
Hmm.
So either I'm reading too much into the fact that he doesn't know what the fuck apples he's using, despite being a farmer, or like it's just a goof. And does that, like, what does that mean for the rest of the game? Does he not know shit about fucking chestnut trees or whatever the fuck chestnut trees, or very American pigs, or like all this other stuff? Like, how many other details in this are wrong? Are they deliberately wrong? Is there some sort of meaning I'm missing, or what? Right? Because what else am I supposed to do with a 70-minute long game except for read way too much into things? Because it's supposed to be a character examination, right?
Hmm.
What gets me about this is that if it hadn't been a game, if it had just been, I don't know, a nicely acted radio play, then you wouldn't see this shit. You wouldn't see the fucking apples, and there'd be no question about it. But it would also play out exactly the same fucking way. Apart from the lengthy part at the end where you have to catch 5 fish to catch 1 fish,
Hmm.
which is literally just throwing out a line and then holding the mouse button very slowly in a WarioWare-esque mini game that doesn't have any of the charm or franticness of WarioWare. Apart from that, right, everything is just, you could literally listen to this as a radio play. But then they couldn't charge $25 for it on Steam. And yeah, the fucking reviews for this. One of the reviews is like, I've played this game for 2 hours, but I've encountered a bug. I've encountered a bug that means I can't finish it. I still recommend it. I'm like, you've played the fucking game for 2 hours. It's 70 minutes long. So you've belted through expectations, but it's got a game-breaking bug. It's 70 minutes long, and it's got a game-breaking bug that means you can't fucking finish it, and
Yeah.
you recommend it? Fucking excuse me? Like, how? How can you recommend that?
They should be a game review. Sounds like 7 out of 10.
I'm just, yeah. Like,
You know what? Sounds like you need some dream daddy in your life, or something like that. If that's what you're after, some adventure games.
adventure games. No. Like, yeah. I don't hate visual novels or interactive fiction. It just needs to actually involve interactivity. And yeah, this doesn't. Let's keep in mind, I have not finished this game since I ran into a bug that halted my progress. I got very near the end from what I could tell. I'm going to restart and do it tomorrow. But in the meantime, let me tell you how I feel. And then it's loads more words about how they recommend it. I just, yeah. Like, if you encounter a bug in a game that is literally at the start, the first thing you do breaks the game. No. Sorry, no. $25? No. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, fuck this game. Yeah.
Would you say adios to adios?
Very good. Very good, Luke.
Yeah.
Very droll. Anyway.
All right.
Moving on.
Let's move on then to Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. I'm playing Breath of the Wild again. Yeah.
You needed a new story game. You were all about that novel, and you're like, Breath of the Wild. Let's do it. Let's fire up some good stories.
I really want some unskippable storytelling now. No. Somebody was asking us about emulating. Who was it? Going back to the old days, right? Monkey Magic asked it, and then before that, I believe it was Nice Nico was asking questions about emulating, and I'd actually been in the process of setting up the CMU emulator for a while because I don't know if you watched it, but like IGN have been on a bit of a Breath of the Wild. Well, Cam Shay from IGN has been on a bit of a Breath of the Wild kick. He makes the game look so fun and charming that I'm like, oh, I should check it out again. And then I'm like, but not on the Switch. I'm going to play it on the fucking emulator. I'm going to play it at 4K at 60 frames a second, the way it should be played, as opposed to 720p at maybe 25 frames a second, maybe, depending on where you are. Yeah, holy shit. This game at 60 frames a second at 4K is absolutely fucking gorgeous. Fantastic. And like, I think setting up the CMU emulator was a bit of a pain in the dick, but once you do it, seamless. And then you add in BCML, yep, which is a mod loader, and it's even better. You can add mods in and shit. I was constantly running into all the shit that I remembered fucking hating in this game. Like the fact that you don't have enough inventory and you'll open up a chest, but you've got all the swords. You've been picking up like tree branches and shit, and then you open up a chest and it's got a fucking good sword in it. And you're like, oh, okay, excellent. And then you press and it's like your inventory is full and the chest closes and you don't get the fucking sword. So you got to make space in your inventory and then go fucking open up the fucking chest again. But there's an animation every time that you have to fucking wait through. I'm like, why? Why the fuck can I not just, like, who fucking did this, right? Or the one that gets me the most, right? Holy fuck, man. How did this get allowed? How is this game revered as one of the greatest of all time when this in particular fucking exists? When it rains and you're halfway up a mountain, your options are to wait until the rain stops or go and do something else. That's it. Those are your options. How is that fucking acceptable? Oh my fucking God. It drives me fucking bananas. Like, how is it okay? So what's the gameplay there? How do you play around that? Who decided that was fucking good? Oh yeah, that's fucking good. Yeah, I fucking love that. This is perfect. Like, make it so that when they're climbing up a fucking mountain and it starts raining halfway up the mountain, they just have to sit there and do nothing for maybe upwards of 5 fucking minutes. Just what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Or like,
and you better hope it's not lightning either.
Yeah, if there's lightning, you're probably also cooked, but like you're cooked even more, literally cooked. especially if you got any metal on you. But like, I just don't understand, man. Like, why would they do that? Why? Why is that? It drives me bananas. That durability, weapon durability. The best thing about playing on an emulator is you can turn durability. You can change the like. I've got there's like cheats. I've just turned my fucking durability to double. Everything's got double the durability. So now instead of fucking my sword dying after 2 hits, it takes 4 hits, which is fantastic. I've got a mod that makes all the like rebalances all the combat, which is awesome as well.
Yeah.
I wish there was a mod that auto skipped every shrine introduction. Hey, here's something, right? I do not need to see a fucking slow pan of the shrine that I'm just about to enter. I just don't need it. Like, not even inside, the outside of the shrine. Every shrine looks the fucking same. Why do I need to watch this? You don't. You can skip it. Excellent. Why make it happen at all? Just fucking let me walk in. I'm guessing it's because the Switch and the Wii U were, not that powerful and they needed to kill some time, right?
Yeah,
They
it's
needed to
hiding
kill
loading.
some time for loading. Which is why I wish there was a mod that just let me fucking go straight in. Also, you press this button, it slow pans, and then you have to walk into the fucking shrine? Holy actual shit. That is fucking amazing. That's so good. And like the voice acting. Holy Jesus. Every time anyone talks, you're like,
Why are you talking so slow?
please, please just fucking. I played a lot of Slay the Spire
Yeah.
while playing Zelda because they just yap. They're like, oh yeah, time to tell you all about Calamity Ganon. I'll be like, yep, cool. I'll get my phone and play some fucking Slay the Spire. This is gonna go on for 10 minutes. It's unskippable, and there's nothing I can do about it. Fucking the Blood Moon. Link,
Yeah.
Link, beware the Blood Moon. That is literally how Zelda sounds. That is identical. I just fucking nailed that impression.
Yeah.
It was
Can you turn off
perfection.
the blood moon? Can you turn off Zelda's
I
blood
think
moon feature?
I think you might be able to. You
Yeah.
might be able to.
Because that was the one thing in that game where I was like, because I felt like I was accomplishing something in that game. Like, I'm clearing out
Yep.
all these areas, and all of a sudden she comes in and she's like, I'm going to respawn everything. You're like, what? What the fuck?
You
Are
fucking
you
what, lady?
kidding? I
What is
was
this,
playing
Far
this
Cry
like I'm
2?
playing Dark Souls, and you've just like, I haven't gone no bonfire. Fuck you.
I didn't hear no bell. Yeah, I think you might be able to. There's probably a mod for it. I have mods. For there's one that changes the model of like this shield that barely shows up into a hoverboard
Okay.
that has infinite durability while you're shield surfing.
Okay. Yeah.
Which genius. That's wonderful. I've got one that redoes all the balancing in the game. It's getting roped into. They're doing like this massive like balance project.
Mm-hmm.
But it rebalances all the fights and stuff in the game, which
But it's
is
already
excellent.
perfect. Why?
Why?
It's already the best
Why
game
would you
made.
need to? Yeah, it's the greatest. And I've got one that makes it so that you jump a little bit higher. Not much higher, but literally just high enough so that you can trigger slow-mo. Because you can only trigger slow-mo when you've jumped a certain height. But what it means, and this was another thing I learned from IGN's video, from Cam, is that you can do the what's it called, like the bomb boost,
Mm-hmm.
where basically you drop a bomb behind yourself, then you drop another bomb in front of that bomb, and then you trigger the first bomb, and that blasts you across the fucking map. And it is fucking amazing. It is the best way to get around in that game. No, I don't move like regular anymore. I only bomb blast my way fucking everywhere because it's just I mean, you're just floating everywhere, you're like soaring on the open, friendly skies, and then you can do it in midair. Although I haven't really mastered it yet. And the only problem with it is, because Nate's playing as well, and we both decided we'd like ratchet up our stamina before we started on our health. And if I fuck up the bomb blast, I die every fucking time. And yeah, it's especially challenging when I'm in midair. So I haven't really mastered it yet. But when I do, get out of here. Get out of here. I'll be fucking all over the place. But yeah, I'm enjoying it outside of the stuff that drives me absolutely fucking bonkers. Outside of the stuff that it is like some of the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. Outside of that, fucking amazing. Like that's got to be what it is, right? If that stuff didn't bother me, then I think it probably would be a strong contender for best game of all time, right? But that stuff does bother me a lot, a real lot, because it's fucking awful. So yeah. Anyway.
All right.
But yeah, Simu, and you can like it's actually once you've got it all together, it's actually really fucking easy to do. And yeah, it is really good playing at 60 frames a second. If anyone else has been playing Breath of the Wild and they know of any must-play mods, don't suggest Linkle. It's too weird. Linkle is like the gender-swapped Link. And there are some extremely not safe for work mods for gender swap Link, and it's such a weird fucking you'll just be browsing like, oh, this one will let you like shield surf, like jump off the back of your horse and then shield surf behind your horse as opposed to riding your horse, which is pointless, but like fuck yeah, why wouldn't you do it? I'm getting that mod. And then the mod next to it is Victoria's Secret bathing suit for Linkle, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, who is doing this?
And
Who
it's
is
got
spending
6
all
times
of
as
their
many
time?
downloads as the other one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like yeah, I'm like, fuck yeah, gonna shield surf behind a horse, and meanwhile, horny motherfuckers are whacking it to Linkle in their modded version of Breath of the Wild. I'm like, that is just odd. I'm just so out of touch. Anyway, and I don't even think that's probably not like I've got in the mod browser. You have to actually tick a box to look at the not safe for work ones. I haven't ticked that box because I'm not interested. That's one of the safe for work ones. It has to get a lot worse. I can only imagine how much worse it'll get. Yeah. So
Right.
anyway,
How did you get your legitimate copy of Breath of the Wild into the emulator?
there is a very interesting process that you can go to dump your fully legitimate copy of Breath of the Wild into the emulator, and it's not that difficult to do. And that is what I did.
What
Thanks for
if
asking, Luke.
What if I don't have a CD, any sort of disk drive on my PC? Because I don't. Am I
I'm
screwed?
sure you could find a
Find a way.
workaround.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
sure that would actually be significantly easier
Yeah.
than dumping, which is quite simple. But I'm sure it would be easier to not actually have to dump it.
Yeah. I think I've got a
To
copy.
just yeah. You've definitely got a copy. Gold.
Maybe I don't.
Anyway, great questions. But yeah, you can. Yeah, it's actually CMU's like really good for all that shit. Actually,
Cool.
yeah, you use this thing called Wii USB Helper to dump your games, and you can actually use that if you can't find the CD as well, which is really interesting. Although I wouldn't recommend it because we do not advocate the cool crime of emulating games. Yep,
that you haven't
that's
bought.
it. That you haven't purchased.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Good stuff. That was Breath of the Wild, the Wii game released in 1927, 2017.
Yep. Wii
And
U.
looking forward to the sequel. All right, let's move on to Loop Hero. You play more Loop Hero? You got it running quick after last week. I told you you could patch the game, mod it, change some file
That
settings.
game I'm playing at 10 times speed. That game at 10 times speed, I cannot believe I ever played it at regular speed. Holy shit. That game is meant to be played at 10 times speed. You just fucking belt through shit. Managed to find the secret boss you were talking about. I do not understand. Oh, now I get it. Now fucking hell, I literally just got it. I got to the secret boss. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? What the fuck does Frank Oz have to do with this shit? Because I was like fucking locked in on the Dark Crystal. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. It's gonna be like some Dark Crystal type shit, right? No. It's Kermit the Frog. You fucking dork. You huge fucking dork. Anyway, maybe experiment with swamps a bit more as well, which I hadn't been using at all. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, just farting about trying to find new ways to like combine stuff and whatnot. It's just it's a good little time killer game. At 10 times speed, it is like a bite-sized game that you can get through pretty quickly. You don't even touch it. Like the first five loops, you sort of just drag whatever fucking key are. Like mid-fight. You don't even fucking bother with like waiting. You just drag it up in the middle of the fight. And then you only really have to pay attention after that. But yeah, you can get to 20 loops pretty quickly, which is good. You get a lot of fucking farm out of that. And yeah, still good. Still enjoying it. Good times.
Have you run into any weird bugs? Because that was the one thing that I read, that it made some things buggy, people thought.
No, I didn't. I haven't run into anything that I thought was buggy. But I have just been hunting down secret bosses and stuff, so I might not even be able to tell necessarily if there are any bugs. I haven't had crashes in particular, but I am only going to 10 times. I think Junglist has been playing it like fucking 16 times, and he's had some crashes. So it might be like I may be below the threshold to really push it too far. 16 is too greedy. He's just greedy. Unbelievable. Yeah. But he was a bit down on it. He was a bit down on the game. Not down on it necessarily. I think he just feels like it's designed around exploitative like brain trick shit as opposed to being fundamentally good design. But playing it at 16 times speed, he's actually feeling the game part of it, which is interesting. Yeah, it is a much better game at that speed. I'm very intrigued as to why they decided to limit it to 2. Because, yeah, why wouldn't you fucking ratchet it up where you can? You know. Anyway.
Yeah, that's cool.
Speaking of, what? Go.
I was going to say, they announced last week that they sold 500,000 copies in their first week of sales, which is
awesome.
I think that's what I was estimating, somewhere between 500 and a million. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another announcement.
Yeah.
Over the next week, saying they hit 1 million, because that thing is doing pretty well.
Yeah. Like, I just think it's a very clever use of a lot of different game mechanics. And you know, it's a great idle game.
Yeah.
Ah, you admit it. I got you. I fucking got you. Anyway, speaking of Jung list, I was hanging out with Jung on the weekend, and we played Catan or Catan. You would say Catan because you're American. Now, so you and Jung list speak the same,
Yeah.
with your American accents. But I call it Catan because I'm fancy. And I'll tell you what, I have been hating on Catan for like 3 years because when I first played it, the person teaching me was extremely competitive, and they did not explain the rules very well. And then they were extremely gloaty when they beat the shit out of me at it, and it was just a terrible experience. I'm like, fuck this game, fuck Catan. It turns out I was thinking of Carcassonne the entire time. I'd never played Catan before. Nobody had ever taught it to me. I was thinking of Carcassonne. I still hate Carcassonne, and I always will. Fuck Carcassonne. But Catan's really fun. I can't believe I've been missing out. Like people have been like, "Oh, should we play Catan?" I'm like, nah. I've played it before, and I had a really shitty experience, and I'd rather not. Let's just play something else. Let's just play, a good board game as opposed to Catan. And I've been missing out. I could have been playing Catan this whole time. That game's really fun. Bit dice rolly. Don't love dice rolls, but there is strategy to like it's RNG mitigation strategy. So you got that, at the basis of it, which is always good. Love a bit of RNG mitigation, and then it's just one of those games where you keep track of how everyone's doing, and then you inevitably fuck them about as much as you can, which is leads to like just hilarious scenarios. I accidentally won my second game, just like 100% by accident. Like I just fucking fluked it. I should not have won at all, but like I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do this, and like you've got this grid, this hex grid, and the idea is you build these little settlements and these roads, and you're trying to capture resources and use those resources to build more roads, more settlements, bigger cities, etc., etc. But there's one other thing you can do with your resources, which is buy these like, I can't remember what they're called, but they're like they're cards that do certain things, and it might be like get a victory point. And it's first to 10 victory points wins. And so you can like play all of these victory. Like if you've got 4 of those cards, you just be like, here, I've got 4 victory points. I win. But there's also like a knight card where you can just steal cards from other players. And it's the same as if you roll a 7. And I was like just going for these. I wasn't building cities or stuff. I'd accidentally put myself on the squares where I was getting a lot of the resources for these cards. And so I was just buying cards every round, like constantly. And I just kept getting knight cards. And I was like playing the knight cards and stealing from other people. And I wound up like with a shitload of victory point cards. Plus, when you have the most knight cards, you get like 2 victory points. And I had the longest road, so I had 2 victory points. And then you've got like 2 settlements from the get go, so that's 2 points. And then I had a couple of victory points, and I'm like, they're like, oh, hang on, how many knight cards have you played? Like 4 knight cards or some shit? I'm like, yeah, I've played 5. They're like, oh, you're supposed to have this. And I'm like, oh, that means I win. Those 2 victory points mean I win. And they were flabbergasted because they weren't tracking that shit at all because I was playing like shit. My strategy seemed quite dumb on the outside, but it turned out it was a secret genius. I'm a secret Catan genius. So there you go. No, I've no idea. Like I still don't really understand how I won, but I do like get the game now. So yeah, keen to play some more, which is good. Cool. Have you played Catan?
Nope.
Yeah,
Never.
it seems like a board game you need like 3+ players for, and you're not allowed to have people over. So
Yeah.
sad.
No.
All I can tell you is it's better than Carcassonne. Have you played Carcassonne?
Is that with the C or a K?
See,
I'm looking. It doesn't look familiar.
right? Okay.
No. I'm gonna say no.
All right. Well, fuck Carcassonne. The gap is Catan, not Carcassonne friendly. All right. Now that I know what game I'm talking about.
Yep. All right. That was Catan.
Catan.
Gotcha. All right. Let's
Chris
move on.
Catan. That's the dude from Night of the Roxbury, right?
Sure. Let's pretend I've
Sure.
seen that film.
You haven't seen Night of the Roxbury?
I don't think so. Is that Will Ferrell in it? No.
Yeah, Will Ferrell, Chris Catan. What? It's a classic. It's idiotic. It was that period of time when they were just making idiotic films. Anyway,
Okay.
moving on.
No,
What else is
I
on
was
this
thinking
list?
of something else. I've not seen it, but I was thinking of a different film as well. Maybe it had Mark Wahlberg in it or something.
What? The other guys? You haven't seen the other guys?
I don't think I've seen the other guys either.
Dude. Okay. Don't watch A Night at the Roxbury. I don't think it holds up, but the other guys is fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's on
That
my
movie's
list.
amazing. Spectacular.
All right,
Do it.
I'll add it to it now.
Yeah.
All right. Should we move on? Do you want to take a break? What do you want to do?
Let's go.
Let's go. Hell Let Loose is the last game we've got here.
Excellent.
We talked about it last week. This is the World War II very hardcore first-person shooter on a large-scale battlefield with a 100-player sort of limit. Giant warfares, that sort of thing, heavily inspired by obviously games like Battlefield or I think we were talking about like Armor, Operation Flashpoint, like those sort of
Red Orchestra.
Yeah, maybe somewhere in between of those types of games are sort of, not as arcadey as Battlefield, but also not as super hardcore as Operation Flashpoint and Armor and that type of stuff. But you'd been playing it last week. I think you recommended me not to play it, so I bought it anyway.
I know. I have huge regrets about telling you not to get it. I was just convinced that I didn't think the netcode would hold up. Like honestly, but it seems to fucking do okay. I thought it was going to be a nightmare for you to play.
It's a little bit depending on like the first night that we played. We were on a server that, for whatever reason, the ping was pretty bad. It was up towards like 300. 330, I think. I think I got kicked, right? Did I get kicked at one stage?
I think you did. Yeah.
My ping was too high. It was like 330. It was bouncing around quite a lot. But the other servers were okay. They're like 170 to 200, depending on what's going on. And when we were playing on that higher one, there was a bit of warping going on, but it wasn't super noticeable most of the time. So it was okay. My biggest thing about like Battlefield is that I like Battlefield as a game, but the thing that I'd love to change about it when we do play is that I tend to play in the hardcore modes. We didn't do it as much as in Battlefield 5. That was more like we were playing Battlefield 4. It might have been the more modern era one where we jump into hardcore and play a bunch of that. They just didn't really seem to do it. Like it wasn't a focus for them in those later Battlefield games. And it's not a focus because they moved so much away from the time to kill being low. They made the time to kill like a lot higher. There was a point last year where they put that patch in and made the TTK like even longer. They boosted it up
Awful.
like 2
Yeah.
more bullets or something like that,
It
or
was
3 more
ridiculous.
bullets. They toned it down a little bit, but that game has gradually gone from like a game that was meant to be this realistic World War shooter, and it's gone a lot more. Like when you compare it to the other shooters that are out there, like your Call of Duties and that sort of thing, they are at the higher end of the time to kill range at this point. Like I feel like that is where they wanted to go with that game. And their reasoning behind it was that they're trying to get newer gamers or newer players into it to feel like they're able to last or survive longer by not being killed so quickly.
Yeah.
And I just don't agree with that. Like
I
decision.
think it's faulty reasoning, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it makes sense up front, right? It's one of those things that sounds good if you hear it said out loud, but in practice, it doesn't really work,
Right.
right?
Because they want people to jump in and not be like, why did I die? I don't understand why I died. Whereas if you make that time to kill a little bit longer, they're like, oh, I can see that I'm being shot in the back. Maybe I can do something. And then there's an opportunity for them to turn around and shoot a couple of times. But then I think that's the wrong way of going about it. It's just not an interesting. To me, it's not fun. Like you're just pumping so many bullets into these things, and it just takes so long for everybody to drop. Yeah. Anyway, like it got to the basically for me, it got to that point where I feel like the time to kill in that game has just gone ridiculously out of control. And I've always liked the hardcore mode where it was like 2 or 3 bullets, and they'd be dead. Like which Battlefield got to a point where it was like 6 bullets. Like you'd need to put about 6 or 7 bullets into someone.
Yeah.
Sometimes like 2 headshots to take them down.
Yeah. 2 headshots was the breaking point for me. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Whereas Hell Let Loose is the opposite. Like it's the complete opposite of that. It is 1 headshot. Doesn't matter what gun it is, will kill somebody. They'll drop.
Yeah.
Generally, 1 to 2 bullets in the chest, depending on the type of gun you've got. Maybe 3 will put someone down, and that to me is like the game that I want to play. Like that is the sweet spot. Like I don't want to be smashing bullets into people and being like, oh, are they going to go down? Are they going to turn around and get me? Like I've clearly got the jump on them. And so that's why I'm having such a good time with it. Like, because the time to kill is just so short. You're rewarded for being patient and getting like landing those shots. And if you do land them, for the most part, they'll go down. Like there hasn't been instances where I put a couple of bullets to someone. I'm like, I don't understand why they're dead. Like I've clearly shot this person, and they're down. Like most of the time, they will go down in 1 bullet if you hit them in the chest with the weapons that I've been playing, which have been like the car on the Germans or the machine gun or something like that. Like it's pretty good. So for the most part, like that's why I'm enjoying it so much, is that it's such a quick time to kill on it. And aside from that, the pace, like the pace of the game is sort of where Battlefield has really diverged from. Like Battlefield has always been about those like big battlefield moments, and it's always been about action. Then this game definitely has that, but it's a different type of action. Like it is very much slow paced, and you are getting into positions, and then when the fights do start, it's usually because you're trying to cap a spot, or you're in a team fight or something like that, and then just shit just goes like out of control. You've got bombing runs coming in, like the way that the artillery strikes or the bombing runs are done, especially the bombing runs with the planes, and they just kind of, there's like 10 consecutive bombs that are dropped, and you just see them like edging towards you, and the way they explode, like you haven't seen, or at least I haven't seen something like that in a Battlefield game. And I'm comparing the two because I think that Hell Let Loose has huge influence from the Battlefield series, and it gives you a sense of scale, right? Like you just get this, like how you're this tiny person, and you see these explosions that are two times a 2-story or the 4-story building high, right? And they're just enormous, and there's just dirt kicking up everywhere. But there's also 6 more of them heading towards you, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Fuck! I've got to run out of here, otherwise this thing is going to wipe me out." And yeah, it just like the sense of scale in that game is awesome, and like the slow movements going through grass and like trenches and crawling your way through dense areas of forest to try and get to a good spot where you can sort of peek around a rock and see if there's anyone around the corner. It's such a slower paced game
Yeah.
that relies so much on team coordination and
Mm.
other team coordination, which I don't think the Battlefield series is interested in doing anymore. Like they have just
Not
so
really,
clearly
no.
gone away from all of that. They just don't care. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I think I'm enjoying it so much, is that they do all
Yeah.
these things that Battlefield just, they don't want to do that anymore. They're not interested. It reminds me of like PUBG, right? Where PUBG had a solid foundation of a game, and they enjoyed that, but they're like, no, we want more. We want more people. We want to grab a bigger audience. We want a wider net. How can we do that? And they put in all these features and that sort of thing to try and get a larger scale audience, which secludes the people that liked that game to begin with. And I feel like that's where Battlefield has gone. They've gone too wide, and they're like, let's just get everybody in. Everybody's having fun. Like, you can't die and all this stuff. And Hell Let Loose is very much like, we know what we want to do, and we're going to do it well. And yeah, I think it's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
It's like fast food. Battlefield is fast food now, right? Like the Battlefield moments are fucking Big Mac, right? You can get like fucking 50 billion sold, right? You get them anytime you want. Like you fucking load up into Battlefield, you get a fucking Battlefield moment right off the fucking bat, but it's not satisfying. Whereas in Hell Let Loose, the Battlefield moments you get, right? And I still think, like, in my opinion, they are still Battlefield moments, right? That is a term that I'm pretty sure I coined that term, by the way. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I
pretty
fucking
sure
coined
EA owes me millions of dollars.
But so I used it in an interview, and then you started seeing it show up in marketing. But anyway, I still think of them in that term, but like the Hell Let Loose Battlefield moments are a fucking steak dinner by comparison. Like you can't have them all the fucking time. You shouldn't have Big Macs all the time either. But you can't get them easy, right? They don't come easy. They're effort. There's effort there, but they are so much more satisfying. There's that fucking fight we were having, the one where we were on that point, like literally doing everything we could to hold that point, that one point. It was, who was it? You, me, Drew, Nate, and like 2 randos, right?
Yeah.
And we held that point to the bitter fucking end, like against all odds. We were on offensive. I don't usually like offensive as a mode, but we like, you've got to cap 2 points. It's sort of like Rush in Battlefield. You're going to cap these 2 points, and they threw everything they had at this one point. And at one point, eventually, they were overrunning it. They were overrunning the point and capping it. And we must have held onto this shit for fucking ever.
Yeah. Like at no point were we going to win that fight, but it was more about slowing them down.
And literally what happened is the other, like the rest of the commander told the rest of the fucking team, or told the entire team to abandon that point and move to the other one for the defense because the point was lost. And Nate put down one last fucking outpost just on the edge of this fucking cap zone, and we all spawned back in. This entire fucking squad spawned back in. And we had like a rando. One of the randos was our medic, and he was like fucking getting us back up in the fucking fight. And we lost the point. We absolutely lost the point. We did not hold on to it. We were the fucking biggest pricks for like it was legitimately like based on like I shadow capped it. We were fucking them up for like 10 minutes. We wasted 10 minutes of their fucking time because that we were in this one barn. We managed to take over this one barn as a squad, and they were trying to fucking root us out for 10 fucking minutes. They sent a tank to come and get rid of us on this point because they couldn't get us out any other way. And it pissed away all the time. They lost the map. Like not even 5 minutes later. After they gave up. They gave up trying to get us out of that fucking point.
We left.
And they went and just went to attack and they lost the game 5 minutes later. Fucking phenomenal. Like one of the fucking greatest things I've done in a game in fucking years. Because it was so idiotic. Like it was all on them. It was all their mistake in attempting to root us out. They had no reason because we couldn't recap that point. Offensive doesn't allow you to recap points. All they had to do was stop spawning there, but they were laser focused on getting rid of us from that point, and we wasted so much time. It was fucking amazing. It was a phenomenal moment in a game. Like that was amazing. We had some fucking huge high kill games where we're just like doing that sort of thing again. There was when we were playing, was it Hill 400? You were in that game.
Oh yeah, I think that was my favorite game we've played.
It's fucking hilarious. Fucking phenomenal. Like just fucking we looped all the way around the back. Managed to make our way in on this fucking point. We're just fighting over it constantly, like making our way in. We had a rando in again. What we do is we'll lock the squad until all our people are in, and then we will unlock it so that other people can join. Usually it's good. We had one rando in this one where they were a dickhead. But most of the time it's pretty good. The community for this game is like 90% good. Squad leader chat gets pretty bad because the commander wants things done and people either have like battle deafness, right? They're under fire, there's a tank next to them, they're trying desperately to like stay alive, and meanwhile the commander's like, yeah, I'm gonna need Fox Squad to go do this and put up with this, and can you ask someone to be the supplies? And you're like fucking hiding in a fucking hole, like not even a fucking house or anything. There's a divot in the dirt, and you're like hiding while you're under suppressed. The entire screen is blurred. You're like, now's not a good time. And but you're also like focused on not dying, so you don't really hear it from the command. And then eventually you fucking work it out. But by that time they're pissed at you. We had you guys on. We were playing. What was that one? The Road to Catan, where we found their entire fucking supply.
This is last night.
Effort, everything, and we just dismantled all of it. And it didn't wind up helping. We still lost eventually because the rest of I mean, you guys couldn't hear the squad chat, but we were the only squad actually following command's orders. We were literally doing everything for that team. And like I don't even care about winning or losing, right? It's not like there's win-loss stats, but I do care about our squad being a squad. I care so much about that shit because it's just fucking, it feels good to have fucking done so much. And in that game, we had the highest offensive rating by the entire rest of our team combined. We had more than the rest of our team combined. And we had the highest support rating of any squad. Or supplies rating, or whatever the fuck it is, of any squad. Which means we were not only getting shit done in an offensive manner, but we were also getting shit done actually creating opportunities for our team, which is something else, right? It's just, you measure your success. It is the classic Battlefield thing, right? Like a squad is how you measure your success when everyone else on your team is fucking wasting time. That's how I measure it in this as well. Like It
Right.
is very Battlefield. It is a fantastic game. I deeply regret telling you not to get it, and I'm so glad you got it because, yeah, it's so much fun playing with you and Nate and Drew and Fjarn when he jumps in and Frisco's jumped in. We could like literally have a full squad.
Hmm.
We saw Raced in a game, although Raced
Fake
reckons it wasn't
Rasty.
him.
Yeah.
He's
So he
just
says.
saying. He's saying that because he didn't join our squad. The dog. Dog and the boys.
Hmm.
But yeah.
There's still like
good.
I'm pretty still new to it, like learning things. Like I don't really understand how the supplies work. I know there are supplies, and obviously this is another thing taken from Battlefield, or maybe it's taken from another game. But like the commander role, which has since disappeared from Battlefield the last couple of games, which is kind of like your overall leader that's able to see an overview of the map and call in certain supplies and drops and command teams on what they should be doing.
2142, or did that disappear after 2? I think it was 2142 was the last time we saw Commander, right?
Did you say 2142?
Yeah.
I feel like it was after that. Because I recall there was one at E3 that I saw. I'm pretty sure I saw one at E3.
A commander role in what? Battlefield 3 then? Or
Maybe.
Bad Company 2? Or I don't think so. I'm pretty sure 2142 was the last time we saw Battlefield Commander role.
Maybe it was.
Battlefield. Oh yeah, Battlefield 3. Oh yeah, they were the ones. Yeah, okay. Battlefield 4 rather. They were the ones dropping in supplies and stuff, and you could play it on your fucking iPad.
Yeah, that's
if you
right.
remember.
Because I remember them being at E3 one year when I saw they had a separate station set up for them.
Yep. Yeah, now I remember. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a role that's like I don't really understand this how the supplies really work or what they do. I'm assuming they've got to do with because you can build infrastructure, whether it's like bunkers and trenches or stuff to like block off areas of the road, artillery mounts and that sort of thing. I just don't really it hasn't connected to me, and I guess it's because I haven't played the role yet. Like how you go about building that sort of stuff as well. I think that's the support role. Like I've only played offensive roles like riflemen's and assault rifles, and that's it at this stage. So I don't really I don't know what that stuff does. Like once you get more I think it's manpower, like how that works. I'm assuming that's got to do with your respawn timers or building garrisons
those
or
nodes
something
that we were just destroying, right? So those nodes that we were destroying, or you were protecting the Drew and Nate from while they destroyed them. They earn you manpower, and you can use that to call in like the tanks, new tanks, bombing runs. There's like some special thing that you can call in where you just get everything for free for a little while, all this kind of stuff. You can use manpower in particular to like double or triple the manpower in a certain location.
Yeah.
And so anyone in that location counts as more than one person, which allows you to like push
cap
points
quicker. Yeah.
when and cap quicker and stuff like that, which is cool.
Yeah, so that stuff's cool. We were playing that like it was Hill 400. I think it was the same game where we first jumped in, but like we kind of went on our own little mission, like outskirted the outside of the map, and while it was kind of the two teams fighting for around the center of the map, and we ended up right at the back and towards their like artillery. And then just started like killing the dude that was on the artillery and like set up in this house. And they must have sent like so many people up to try and get us off of this fucking house because the house is set up like, I don't know.
That was a different game.
Yeah, it was like 60 meters from the artillery. And we were just killing this artillery the entire time. And they must have sent so many people out to try and get us. Like we didn't have a spawn nearby, so it was just kind of like we'll just hold up in this house, sit here and see how many lives we can take. Like, because that's the thing, right? Is it takes a long time for you to respawn if you're not in each team can kind of put down a respawn station, and it generally takes like 20 seconds to respawn you in. On top of the 10 seconds it takes for you to die. So it's a long time. Like you've got to wait sometimes 30 seconds to a minute in order to respawn in this game, which is why it's so important to really take your time. And you run a kilometer and you've got to do it really carefully, because that could be from going from one point to another. And so
that one in particular was driving me. That one actually annoyed me a little bit because I was medic in that one, and we weren't pushing, like we were playing too carefully, I think.
Yeah.
And so we got to that house and I got shot immediately. And because I was the medic, none of you guys could get me back in. And I think Drew died trying to put up a fucking outpost or something. Oh no, we couldn't put an outpost that deep into the enemy territory.
Right.
And they found our actual outposts, and that one upset me because fuck, man. Yeah.
It was worth it though.
I was
I killed a fuckload of people.
Oh yeah. Like you guys got shit done. It was just, yeah. Should have kept me alive. Should have kept me alive.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been on point, basically.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that it's such a like this game's not going to be for everybody because it's such a slower paced game. If you like, it's not Call of Duty running or Battlefield running where you just off you go. Like going from point A, like legging it, you're very much like working as a team and looking out for people, because like one person can just obliterate your entire team and cost you 5 to 10 minutes of work. Because you have lives, like it tells you at the end of your game, like how long your longest life was. And I've had games where I'm like 25 minutes, like in the one life, and you've got something stupid like 35 kills. Because these games do go for like an hour and a half sometimes. They're just very slow paced games that take a lot of time. Some of them do, at least. Some of them don't. Some of them are over in 30 minutes. But it's those ones that feel like large scale battles that are these tug of war moments, which are really cool. And I like the fact that everybody has their own like respawn sort of beacon that they can go into, and like their team leader can put it down, and that's where you respawn. And it really rewards you as a team to not just go from A to B. Like you really want to go around and find a good spot and set up an area, and then like it rewards you as a defender by not just camping a house, but also being like, oh, people are coming from this area. Like they don't have a spawn there because they must have it. Like they must have put one down. And so you actually go and find it, because that'll set them back even longer, right? It takes them so much longer to get back to that point. And so you've got to leave that spot and go looking for them. Whereas in Battlefield or anything like that, you've got control points. And if somebody's capturing a point and you're the defender, like you just respawn back on that point. Like and there's no meaningful, like, I don't know what I'm blanking
reason
on the word.
to get outside of the cap zone, right? Like
or not even reason, but there's no like if you die, there's no consequence. That's the word I was thinking. There's no consequence to like you respawning there, because you can just keep doing it. But in this game, like if you die and you're defending a point, it takes you so much longer to get back to that point, like because you can't respawn there if you don't have a beacon nearby. And so you've just got to play it so much safer. And it just feels like these kills are so much more worthwhile than in a normal shooter. So yeah, like, anyway, I really enjoy it. I think there's definitely work to be done. I think the foundation is all solid. It's all good. I want to see them. I think the biggest thing that I'd like to see them work on is the audio, the sound. It doesn't feel. It ain't got that oomph to it like the.
I reckon you're crazy. I reckon it sounds fucking amazing.
Really? Maybe it's my audio. It just doesn't feel like it's got that. Like I don't feel like I'm in a war. It just feels too. Like it doesn't feel powerful enough. Like in Battlefield, feels like it's going off. And I think it's the gunfire for me. Like the explosion that are really good. It's when a bullet goes past you, or like when somebody's shooting a bullet. It just doesn't feel impactful enough to me. It needs something a bit more. And it looks like they're going to be working on a lot of that stuff this year, the sound effects at least. So that's a good thing. But otherwise, the biggest area of focus to me is the team communication stuff that they need to sort out. Like, how do you fix that? And I don't know how
Yeah.
you fix that. Like, what is the answer to that? Because I haven't tried it yet, but it sounds like such a fucking nightmare to handle. When you've got
Yeah.
10 squads, and the communication in that is just,
Yeah.
like, what do you do to fix that? And maybe one solution to that is that you have better HUD elements, like Apex Legends put in like better ping commands, because at the moment there's ping and that is it. As a
Yep.
regular player, right? I can ping something, but then I've got to go, hey Joab, can you ping my ping and tell the commander there's a tank there? And so that you've got to go like, okay, can you ping it again for me? Because the ping only lasts like 3 seconds. And like there's this whole disconnect in the communication tool that I think I understand why they're doing it. They want to make it more like, communication is such a big focus of the game, but at the same time it's such a big barrier to try and.
I would like it if the ping lasted maybe 10 seconds for squad leads.
Right.
For squad leads only, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then I can fucking see your ping without having to ask you to do it again. But it doesn't make it some sort of like crutch tool that regular play, like non leads, can use. Because I understand what they're going for. I just think, like you said, it winds up in too much repeated fucking actions that aren't interesting.
And I don't know how that information is relayed back to the commander. Like, do they get an audio notification, or is it just an icon on the screen?
An icon on the screen.
Yeah, I feel like it's just an icon on the screen, because then I hear people relaying that information back to the commander, and that is again another step that doesn't necessarily need to be there, because it's more noise for them and the other squad leaders that you've already told them, right? It shouldn't.
And you guys can hear all my comms to the squad lead, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I don't agree with that at all.
I mean, no, we can't. But we can because of Discord, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
We're hearing, because we're playing on Discord, right? So we can hear it through Discord, but.
Okay, well, I could pretty easily fix that by just setting up a
mute.
A mute on Discord.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I'm just saying that is, to me, an area that they could improve. Like, make it clearer when a squad leader is marking something to notify the commander, so they don't have to mark it and then tell the commander, which is filling up a chatter that doesn't need to be there. Anyway.
Absolutely. 100%.
Otherwise, like, this is for me the reason why I've sort of gotten so, like, as much as I enjoy Battlefield and I keep going back to Battlefield because that's where I think the inspiration has come from, and I like Battlefield a lot. But I feel like that for me it's the time to kill stuff that has really pulled me away from Battlefield, and because this game is such a quicker time to kill, it's right up my alley. So and the weapons, right? The weapons of Battlefield, the last couple of games anyway, they've gone back to like World War I, World War II, and so they feel like there's no iron sights or anything like that. Sorry, there's no red dot sights. It's all iron sights, and you're shooting someone, they're taking like 7 or 8 hits to die, and you're just like, the recoil on them is insane, and they're like weird spray patterns, and it feels such like a game where you're either playing at a distance using these rifles, or you're going super close with machine guns and hoping to get people. Whereas, and that's why I've always liked the hardcore mode, because at least if I hit them twice, they're dead. But in this game, like, I can run an AR and still get someone at a distance, because I can tap it and they'll go down in 2 hits or 1 hit. You don't know if they're down. They maybe went prone, but like, that's the other thing I like about it, is that the game doesn't tell you when you kill someone. If you get a headshot, you probably can hear it. Like, you usually hear the helmet flying off, which is an indication that they're dead. But otherwise, like, if you see some pixels behind a bush and you spray the bush, like, you don't know if that person's dead. There's no notification. Like, all of a sudden you're relaying information like, hey, there's someone behind this bush, and like 5 people are running towards this bush to see if there's someone there. It's awesome. Like if they come out this year and they're like they make a Battlefield game that is more reminiscent of their older games, that is in the style of this, I'd be
They
so
won't.
pumped. But I don't think they will.
They won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, that's anything else to add on Hell Let Loose?
No. No.
No, it's good
I
fun.
love it. Yep.
Yeah. I think it's a bit less fun when the servers aren't as full. Like that's I think a problem.
100%.
Probably exclusively to Australia, with like there seems to be one server that's pumping and one server that's struggling to pump.
When it hits peak,
Yeah,
they're both full.
they're both gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is also a problem. But
I've seen a lot of Americans in there as well. Like,
yeah.
I don't know why that is.
Definitely heard a lot of American accents while
Yeah.
playing, which is interesting.
Mm.
But yeah.
Anyway, all right, that's
Anyway.
available now in early access. Hell Let Loose.
Yeah.
It's very good. Definitely check it out. Don't listen to Job. All right,
excellent.
let's do some news, Job. Bunch here, a lot going on. We spoke about the Bethesda and Microsoft acquisition going through last week, and it looks like that rumor of the roundtable discussion was true because they dropped a little YouTube video without really any notice. They kind of just put it up and were like, "Here you go, it's happening." So I watched that. They talked about. They basically did a good job of like getting in a lot of people from Bethesda and letting them talk about what was going on and what they're planning on doing, and having some Microsoft people there as well, talking about this new relationship that they've built. And I guess some of the big things that came out of it was that Phil Spencer said that anything that is contractual in terms of obligations for their current games, like Ghostwire and Deathloop, will be on PlayStation, or any current games that are existing on other platforms, they'll continue to receive service. So regular updates, things like Skyrim and Fallout 76 and that sort of stuff will continue to be as usual, as normal. Elder Scrolls Online was another example, because that's a game that's still updated quite regularly. So that's not going anywhere. But on top of that, they did confirm that Bethesda games going forward will be exclusive to the Microsoft console platform. So that includes the PC as well. It's just console exclusive. Whether or not that is a few other games that have been announced, I guess we have to still wait and see. Like, I still don't know if there are any like they've said there are contractual obligations that need to abide to, but we don't know about the two games that they've got coming up on their plate, like Starfield and Elder Scrolls, like what the plan is for them, if they did make any deals yet with Sony. So we'll have to see. But as far as going forward after that, it's a Microsoft joint. Is not really surprising. You don't spend billions and billions of dollars to not make that sort of decision, which is cool. They also announced some other games coming out to Games Pass, which is now available. We obviously spoke about one of them before. This includes 20 Bethesda games now available. I thought I had a list, but I didn't. But I'll go off the top of my head. That includes the likes of Doom Eternal. What else we got? Wolfenstein, the 3 Wolfenstein games, Elder Scrolls Online, Skyrim, Oblivion, Prey, Dishonored 2. Anything else that's jumping out that you can think of, Job?
Fallout 76, I don't think he mentions.
Yeah, Fallout 76, the Fallout games.
How come you left that one off the list? Interesting.
I'm just trying to think of it off the top of my head. Anyway, some good stuff. Some good stuff there. Obviously coming out. Here's a list. I had a fucking link right below that.
What 18
that had them all. It looks like I got most of them. The Fallout series, Dishonored, Doom, Rage 2. There you go. There's what I missed. Evil Within. No Evil Within 2.
Yeah, it is.
Not sure why that's not there. Anyway, good stuff. Bumping up that Game Pass library. And anything you wanted to say about this? Did you watch it? Did you just read it? What's the
I
deal?
just read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just read it. Yeah, I mean, it's about what we expected, right? Well, it was about what we already expected. They didn't waste any fucking time about bringing Bethesda games to the Game Pass, which is cool.
They basically just brought in like all the big people at Bethesda. They brought in like Todd Howard. They brought in Machine Games. They brought in the guys at Arcane, and just kind of one at a time and talk to them about like what they're thinking and what's going on. Like, hey, nothing's going to change, type thing. Which is cool.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway,
off the top of that, got some more news this morning or yesterday. This comes from Venture Beat reporter Jeff Grubb, who is backing earlier reports that Microsoft and Bethesda are hoping to unveil Starfield this year with a release plan for the end of 2021.
Which is insane.
Yeah. So the report at this stage is that they're hoping to have this revealed around about June this year. With a release, it's in November. This is obviously not 100% confirmed. I think Jeff Grubb put a figure on top of this. He was saying like 90%. This is the plan. It's obviously a plan. It's not official. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on right now for game development. So I don't know. Otherwise, what does Bethesda have this year? We don't really know, right? What they've got coming out on Deathloop.
Sure. Yeah, Deathloop, yeah.
And I don't think Deathloop is their big game. They've usually got one each year.
Right.
And that's a Bethesda game. So sorry, that's a Bethesda PlayStation joint. Starfield will be a big one, but I guess you wait and see, right? Anything could happen. That thing could be pushed back, or maybe they'll have some certification to work through now, some better certification, some QA with Microsoft backing them. So we'll see. Any thoughts on Starfield at all? Like, we don't know anything about it really.
No, man. Nothing on Starfield specifically. I will be very surprised if they announce a game in June and then release it 5 months later.
They've done that a bunch.
It would be with much smaller games.
Fallout 4 was one of them.
No, it didn't. It wasn't. That was fucking well before. That was like fucking 12 months before.
Was it?
They announced that 12 months before, and they did that mobile game. I'm pretty sure. That's how that went down. For announced.
No, yeah, I'm right. Fallout 4 was announced in June, released in November.
Shit. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Sure showed me. All right. Well, I don't know. I'll be surprised. Nonetheless, I believe, because all rumors had Starfield coming in 2022, right? And then
I don't know.
TES 6 in 2024 or some shit. That's what I thought was the plan. But
I mean, it's been a while. Like Fallout 76 was 2018, was it? 2018, yeah. So Bethesda Softworks have been working on some stuff since then.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, some more news, Xbox news, Game Pass related news. Outriders is coming to Game Pass on console day 1. So April 1st, I believe, is the date. I'm just checking.
I don't care.
April 1st.
I don't care.
Well, I think the big issue here is now we've got a discrepancy between Game Pass owners, right? You've got it exclusively coming to a console as opposed to a PC as well, and now you're in this weird territory where some games are going to be on one platform and not the other.
No, that's been the way for a while, man. Like, I don't think it's that big a deal. You know, like they've been doing that for that way for a while. Like, I mean,
this is the first
that isn't listed.
Big game.
EA Play is coming to PC as of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Xbox Game Pass PC as of tomorrow. But prior to that, it's been on Xbox for fucking 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's that big a deal. I don't think it's that big a game, to be honest, either. So,
I don't think it's going to be that big a game, but it's the biggest maybe game they've put out that's not like a third party game that they just kind of dumped on there. That's day one, but it's only going on one of the platforms, which is interesting because Microsoft's been all about like you can play it anywhere, right? You play it wherever you want, except for now. Now we're getting into weird spaces, so hopefully this doesn't become a recurring trend. Or it could be just a roadblock. Maybe this is something that comes to PC down the track. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, that's good for people that have Game Pass on console. They can check out Outriders for free. Cancel your pre-orders. More news we got here. This is stuff that's been happening over the last couple of days. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick has received a $200 million bonus after earlier in the week laying off 200 employees. This is a bit shit. Like,
pretty gross.
We've been talking about these layoffs for a while now. They're up to over 1,000 layoffs in the last 2 years, which included eliminating 8% of their staff in 2019 over at Activision Blizzard. And further, there were further layoffs over the last 2 years. And then I think this sort of last week has been a bigger one. The earliest report was 50 people. That seems to be underestimated. It's now looking more towards 200 people at this point. And I mean, this isn't a, hey, we're struggling, we need to cut costs. This is something completely different because their CEO has now got a $200 million payout on top of their $30 million salary, which is insane. That $200 million is probably more than all of those people that have been laid off combined salary.
Oh, easy. For sure.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's super gross. Yeah, didn't Jason Schreier said they got their fucking 90 days of severance and a $200 BattleNet gift card as part of their fucking severance deal, which is also hideously gross.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's yeah, like the payout itself is disgusting. It's too much. It's ridiculous. But a lot of the people let go were from the esports division, right?
This time.
Yeah. Which sounds like classic corporate restructuring shit, where they just sort of, we're no longer in that business. I've been through that before. It sucks ass.
Yeah, I mean, we're no longer in that business, but also if you'd like to buy an Overwatch team, you can still send us tens of millions of dollars, and you can do that. If you want to. Like the way they've been handling, we were talking about this on the chat, their esports side is just like so bizarre to me because I think they've got some good stuff there that they could run. Like they haven't tried to do anything with Warzone at all. And I think that'd make for some interesting esports. But for whatever reason, they've refused to do that. They've done some things, but it's a lot of it has been like streamer focused tournaments I've seen out of that. But no like pro teams. Like I've been watching the PUBG Invitational or whatever it's called. As much as I don't like that format, I still like watching the PUBG esports. So that stuff is really cool. I would like to see some Warzone. That'd be cool. Like you've got to remember, like Activision Blizzard or Blizzard in particular was doing like ridiculous back in the day with StarCraft and things like that, and just have completely
esports exists because of Blizzard. Yeah, like literally. So yeah, I do find it a bit.
I don't like what they're doing with Overwatch anymore. It's just such a weird spot for them. They do some good Call of Duty stuff every once in a while, but even then, like they just don't seem focused on. Like they're not interested in it at all. It's just such a strange decision to make. Anyway, I mean the weirder decision here is giving this guy $200 million after this horse shit. Anyway, that's fucked. Let's move on to 2K has acquired HB Studios, the developers of PGA Tour 2K21.
Yep.
Obviously, that game did pretty well for them. So maybe a good
Yeah.
move. Pick them up.
Nice. And they signed a deal with Tiger Woods, right?
Right. Yeah.
Pretty weird, but sure, why not?
They've been updating that
Go
game
on.
quite a lot, which is cool.
There's a new mode out where everyone hits their ball all at the same time,
That's what you wanted.
which I'm excited about.
Yep. Good stuff.
Oh my god, I'm looking at it on Steam and there's a review. There's a review from Heath. Heath's reviewed it, and we're going to read it. Heath, who has 84.5 hours on record, 3 hours at review time,
dislikes it.
Not recommended. The worst golf game that HB Studios have done. If you're a fan of their golf club games, do yourself a favor and save your money. You'll have a better time with any of the 3 previous games. I've put 26 hours into it now. And the best thing about it is that I can play online and trash talk with my mates. That's it. Hitting out of the rough is a lottery. The game will occasionally just ignore where you think you should hit it and give you a rubbish shot, even if you would otherwise have landed near the pin. The shot itself is inconsistent with the direction of your swing. I had a shot just earlier. This dude, he's biffed it. He's fucking swung and he's missed and he's tilted his tits off. That's what's happened here. And he's decided, I'm going to fucking review this shit. I'm going to fucking get him. Anyway. Oh, he finishes it. And HB ditch 2K. Well, that's not possible anymore.
It's too late. They read that review and were like, we'll fucking show this guy.
Can get this guy.
Yeah.
How dare he? Anyway. Gold. I'm gonna give him the slow clap award. Beautiful. All right. Anyway, good
cool.
times.
Yep.
I'm very keen to check out this new mode, whatever the fuck it's called. Everyone
speed golf
swings all. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be funny.
I think I've still got it installed. Okay, moving on. The PlayStation blog announced that Jade Raymond has started an independent studio called Haven Studios and will be working on an unannounced new IP for the PlayStation. Jade Raymond obviously has worked on some really big games over the last couple of years, prominently on the Assassin's Creed series. Went on to work with Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, did some stuff on Watch Dogs, Far Cry, then moved over to EA to start Motive Studios and worked on Battlefront 2 and some other unannounced Star Wars projects. That stuff obviously fell through, and then she's over at Google Stadia and was heading up the Google Stadia team over there. Google, for whatever reason, decided they don't want to work in video games anymore after a year because they're idiots. I don't know. Yep. And that's a bad decision from them. But then that guy also got a pay rise, which is weird. So fucking hell. Yeah, and now she's gone and started her own studio. I feel like this is a better decision. She might actually get a game out relatively soon because she's done some good stuff in the past. So I'm excited to see what comes out of that, which is exciting. Anyway, stay tuned. We don't know anything else other than that. And the last piece we've got here is an interesting one. Rockstar has paid a modder $10,000 for fixing their GTA Online's loading times. This started off earlier on a couple of days ago where a modder found that there was this weird loading difference between GTA Online and just GTA loading.
Yep.
They then did this whole debugging of the code, went into it, found the actual source code that was causing the problems. There was, I think, a couple of different sections in there. Ended up fixing that source code, applying an unofficial patch, and then running it back through the game, and ended up cutting the loading times in GTA Online by about 80%. It went from minutes down to 30 seconds, 30 seconds. This blog post got a bunch of traction online, and eventually Rockstar noticed it and said, we're looking into it, then came back and said, hey, he's right. We've found a fix and we reckon we can have it done by the next day. So then they patched GTA Online. There's a bunch of benchmarks that went out that I saw from different websites being like, yeah, this has cut my loading time down by between 60 and 85%. Ridiculous. Yeah, they ended up running that patch through. A lot of happy people playing that game now, and then they gave him $10,000 for his goodwill of finding that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's killer.
GTA Online has always had long loading times.
Yeah, I know. That's it's awesome that they went out and got him the I guess the bug bounty for his efforts as well.
Yeah, that was usually related to security concerns, but
of course,
security bugs. But they gave it to that. Anyway, GTA Online has had a big resurgence recently. A lot of the role playing servers being kicking off. I mean, other than that, GTA is always in the top 3 in sales every week. That game it's got some legs. It's ridiculous.
It does, yeah.
Anyway, there you go. That's the news.
Good stuff.
Any questions this week?
We do have a question.
What is
it's from Baz. Baz writes, "Hey fellas, do you think we'll ever go back to the days of old where companies like Blizzard or EA will go back to a business model of manufacturing new games? Or are we doomed in a downward spiral of microtransactions and loot boxes? When I heard they re-released Burning Crusade, I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a meme. They better slow down with X-Packs, or the classic version will catch up to the current version. Wow. Anyways, it seems like there is a huge hole that's been left in the games market for companies with large amounts of resources to create new games with exciting gameplay. I think that's why indie games are doing well, although they have limited resources. They are trying to fill a gap. A typical example is Valheim or many other successful indie games of late." A bit pessimistic, Baz, but I guess I see what you're getting at. It's a tricky one, right? Because these big companies are extremely risk averse, right? And new IPs, new games are generally very risky. There's a lot of risk involved that they can't really necessarily account for without. And that's why we get things like microtransactions and loot boxes, because that way they can mitigate risk even with doing something brand new like an Overwatch or whatever. Fucking Overwatch is so old too. Crazy. So we wind up in situations where they do that shit just to mitigate the risk and avoid that stuff. But nevertheless, I do think they are bringing that heat eventually, slowly but surely. I don't think Battlefield 6 is supposed to come out this year. I don't think that'll be loot box inundated. They do like their sort of, they like it as a progression system, but I think I hope they've learned the lesson from Battlefront 2. They seem to have with Battlefield 5. So
it's absolutely having skins. Without a doubt, there's going to be some sort of loot box system in there.
But
it's not gameplay.
Battlefield 5 has showed that they were able to temper the impact those loot boxes had on the game, right? So I don't think it'll necessarily be as I just think Battlefront 2 showed them the error of their ways. They surely won't make the same mistake again, in my opinion, but we will see. And Blizzard's in a tricky spot, because they're not just Blizzard anymore. They're Activision Blizzard. They are a giant machine. It used to be that Blizzard operated extremely independently of Activision, but now Activision Blizzard is an entity in and of itself. They're no longer two separate things. And I think that is a pretty big deal, because it means that the Activision portion has a large impact on the Blizzard portion. And so we wind up seeing stuff like, Burning. I was surprised at Burning Crusade coming to WoW Classic as well. I do think that's pretty fucking odd. But yeah, I think it's easy to be pessimistic in the lean times, right? We are in a bit of a games drought. But as we were talking about before, we may see Starfield later this year, which is a brand new IP. Deathloop is coming this year. I think Bethesda is bringing some of the fucking goodness.
It usually is
for
Bethesda,
people.
right? They've been known the last decade to put out like try new things. You've had The Evil Within, and they got Ghostwire Tokyo coming out, and Deathloop, and so they've sort of like rebooted Doom, like Dishonored. They've done some really cool. Like they're not just pumping out like Fallout like Fallout and Skyrim, right? They're chucking some other things in there, which is why I think like Microsoft needed new IPs and new games, and that was probably one of the best studios they could have went out for. Like it's such a home run for them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, just gotta hold out for the good stuff. It'll come. We'll get it. I still don't know how the fuck Ghostwire Tokyo is supposed to work, what it's supposed to be. Still don't really get it. But other than that, yeah.
Yeah.
We're due for like fucking Far Cry, aren't we? That's got to be
Well,
soon.
Far Cry was supposed to be out already. It got pushed
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
So there's that. There's Halo Infinite. Classic. What is Warner Bros? That Batman game.
One of the
the new
Batmans.
Batman co-op one, right?
Yeah.
Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
It's different. But yeah, that's an interesting, good question. And interesting to think about. But I'm trying to be more optimistic, Baz, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm generally a pessimistic person and a bit of a cynic. I don't know if that's been made very abundantly clear over the course of 560 podcast episodes. But yeah.
I think that's why we're seeing a lot of the, I think like Baz said, if I recall what he was talking about, like seeing the rise of indie games, to like taking more risk of some of this stuff. Like you look at the top 20 in Steam and half of them are indie / first IP, sort of original IP games. There's a couple of things in there that are like, if I bring it up really quickly, like obviously there's the Valve games, which are always going to be up the top, but you've also got stuff like Dead by Daylight and Rainbow Six Siege in there, and Valheim and Loop Heroes in there at the moment, Apex Legends, and okay, I just loaded it now. Stardew Valley and Ark Survival Involved. Like a lot of these games are sort of the first game in their original IPs, right? There's a couple of like Grand Theft Auto 5, obviously, and Destiny 2 and Team Fortress 2 and Counter-Strike Go is, I'd say it's a sequel. Anyway, like most of that stuff we see, that's why PC gaming is so interesting, because we talked about Hell Let Loose today quite a lot, and that's an indie game out of, did you say it was Sydney? Based in Sydney?
The home office of this studio is Sydney, but I looked into it a bit more, and I believe they might be like worldwide with just one point based out of Sydney.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, cool, good stuff.
Yeah, good question. All right, that's it. That's our questions.
Easy. All right, that's the podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube, Pocket Casts, wherever you get your podcast from. We're on there. The Gap or the GA Podcast. Please rate and review the show if you have a moment. It helps other people find us. If you would like to leave us questions, you can do so via our email, thegapodcast@gmail.com, or jump into our Discord page, thegapodcast.com/Discord. You can leave us questions on there. You can jump in, talk about random things that are going on in the world of games or movies or TV or whatever is happening. You can also jump in and play games that are happening most nights, as far as I can tell. People playing like, I don't know, I feel like there was like a Warzone thing going the other night, and people were playing like Hell Let Loose, and was all over the place. So that's cool. I nearly
took out my internet, so I couldn't join in on the Warzone fun. But I want to check out. Apparently, the zombies have moved to the prison.
It seems like they're going to blow the map up now.
It's already updated, but you
Mm.
can't risk having a fucking Battle.net launch because how fucking big are fucking Battle.net updates?
Yeah, the rumor was they were going to blow up this map, and slowly introduce zombies, which is what they've done. So that rumor seems pretty accurate. Like basically there was this ship off in the distance in the water you could see, and then the next update, like the ship crashed towards like prison, and then like a couple of days later there was a zombie outbreak at prison, and yeah, like that's so cool. I love the storytelling in those games. The stuff Fortnite's been doing lately, like I watched a bunch of that stuff. That looks really cool. They've put like there's like crafting in there now for upgrading your guns and
Right.
weird other weird shit that's happening in that game. Like, I think that stuff's really cool. Anyway, you can go on to our Discord page and do that. I nearly jumped in and played Satisfactory. That update came out, but it's in the experimental branch, so I'm not sure at this stage. Yeah, they're testing it for another like 3 or 4 weeks, and then they're going to drop it in the early access, the main one. So we'll see. Anyway, you can also find us on social media, facebook.com/GAPodcast, twitter.com/GAPodcast. You can go to our YouTube page, thegapodcast.com/YouTube, watch the podcast in video format. And if you'd like to go check out other things on our website, thegapodcast.com, you can go do that. It's got links to everything we just talked about in the show, including previous episodes. You want to go catch up on some of that stuff. Or you can read a bunch of Job's frequent articles that have been going up recently. Last week, talked about why you like playing the medic class in shooters like Hell Let Loose. Week before that was talking about Call of Duty. And then this week, we'll be talking about, you tell me, what is it?
At the core of Xbox Game Pass is the working title. But it might be a bit too sensational.
So yeah, again, you can go to thegapodcast.com and check that out. And that is all thanks to our Patreon members, help keep this podcast going and the website running. If you would like to help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/thegapodcast and become a recurring member. We appreciate everyone that does it every month. We help us pay the bills. So thank you so much for supporting us. All right. Anything else you'd like to pimp out for this week, Joab? Where can people find you on the internet?
No, just that piece that'll go up on the GAPodcast.com or my YouTube channel at Joey Jojo. Joey Jojo is also my Twitter. I haven't been tweeting a lot, but I don't know. Just burned out on social media. I spend more time on Discord. Where
TikTok videos. That's what you should do.
Hell no. Jump into if you're playing GeoGuessr, we do the daily, and everyone breaks down how they arrived at their answers. Yeah. And I find that so, I don't know, it's just really interesting to see how people get to their answers and stuff, especially when they're like close or like really close, and they're like, oh yeah, I saw this and then I was able to work out this, and like, yeah, it's just it adds a lot. I let my GeoGuessr sub expire, but I still play the daily every day, which is good. Good fun. And yeah, everyone shares their stuff on there. Anyway.
Nice. You can find me twitter.com/Luke Lawrie, Lawrie. And I think that is it for this week. Not sure what we're talking about next week. Is there anything coming out that you can think of soon?
No.
Not?
No. I don't think so.
Oh well, I'm sure we'll find something to talk about. Slow period of the year, but hey, we went for 2.5 hours this week, so I'm sure
good effort.
Till time. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Catch you all next week.
Love you. Bye.